Well, let's check in with Sterling Sharp. We're not talking pack right yet. Let's talk about Chris Canty and the New England Patriots. He's a confident Sterling he doesn't lack, right?
Well, Chris, that's one thing he doesn't lack. And the one thing I like about him, I thought looking at all the film of the defensive backs, this guy might be the closest to Deion Sanders in believing in his overall skills. He's a guy that's not real big, but the one thing he likes to do is he crowds the line of scrimmage. He uses his hands very well. He's got great feet. Look at him recover. I mean, he stays on the receiver. I don't think he'll get away with that in the NFL, and he's a guy to make plays. He throws his body around probably as well as any defensive back twice his size. And the one thing, in looking at him all year long and watching tape, is he crowds the line of scrimmage, as I'm using my linebacker friend as a receiver.
You want to give me the line of scrimmage?
He crowds the line of scrimmage like a Deion Sanders, and he wants to use everything in his bump and run technique because he knows he's got great feet to catch up. He understands the game of angles. And Chris, he doesn't have to come in because of the Steve Israel pickup. He doesn't have to come in and be a starter right now. But look midway through the season for this guy to push for a starting job.
Well, Tommy, can we bring you in here now, or is it only one at a time up there on that field? Tommy, Chris Canty for New England. I mean, you know that personnel very well. Good mix for them?
Well, I think certainly Chris Canty is a guy who will give people some coverage ability. I think that the question you always ask when you draft a corner who's a little bit undersized is he going to be able to be physical and be a run support guy at the line of scrimmage?
I think also another thing is you look for him to go inside. With his bump and run skills, I think he'll be excellent going inside to cover teams like Jacksonville's third receiver, and I think that's where they got hurt last year. They can cover the third receiver, Antonio Freeman in the slot, things like that. I don't think, the Green Bay Packers get that big play from Antonio Freeman and win the Super Bowl, Chris.
All right, well, the Packers pick is coming in because there are a couple linebackers I would get back to you, Tommy, on that have maybe fallen a little bit farther down than they thought. Maybe that's one of the guys the Packers go for. But I'm holding out for the Ivy League here, Tom. But boy, tough sell in Big Ten country. Last pick in the first round. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the last pick in the first round, the Green Bay Packers select Ross Verba, tackle, University of Iowa.
Now,
the New York Jets are now on the clock.
Good football player, Chris. You're looking at a guy who can play guard, can play tackle. I think did a great job for Iowa. Probably one of the tougher offensive linemen in the draft, and certainly a guy that gives them a lot of versatility because of the ability to play guard or tackle. They went for John Michaels last year out of USC, really fortifying an offensive line with the addition of Ross Verba.
Well, that ends the first round, and just if you want to look at the tote board very quickly, 8 defensive linemen, 6 defensive backs, 5 offensive linemen, Verba being number 5.
I like Verba as a tackle. I think he can also be an outstanding guard, but I think people kind of wrote him off as being a pure guard when he's not. His workouts were tremendous. Watch him here, number 73 at left tackle. Real quick feet, very agile for a big man, and tremendously tough. I think that's what separates him. This guy loves to battle and scrap in the trenches. He loves that kind of warfare, and he played a lot of good football at the University of Iowa against some tough Big Ten opposition. Ross Verba, to me, is a guy that at this stage of the first round is a heck of an addition to a Green Bay Packer football. You see Cedric Shaw, all-time leading rusher in Iowa Hawkeye history. Ross Verba had a lot to do with Cedric Shaw's great success at the University of Iowa.
Gary Danielson, doing our Big Ten games all year long on ESPN, saw Ross Verba early and often. You like that match for the Packers? You know Verba pretty well, Gary.
I think it is a good match because I think what Mike Holmgren and Ron Wolf were looking for was a guy who could play a number of different positions on that offensive line. And if you look back into the film work on Ross, you'll see that he had to block guys like Simeon Rice all through the Big Ten and match up against Finkus and Vrabel. He's been challenged by good players, and he's been able to come through. He's a good run blocker. He pulls well, and he gives them that flexibility on the offensive line that maybe a guy like a Jerry Wunsch didn't have. Wunsch, more of a masher, maybe fits into some systems that a Ross Verba in this West Coast offense maybe doesn't exactly match up. So for the pick here in Green Bay, I think it's a good match. Chris?
Well, it's the first time, Gary, that a Super Bowl champ, defending Super Bowl champ, has stayed put since '91. That was the New York Giants defending their Super Bowl title. Bill Parcells was gone by the time they made that pick. Bill Parcells is on the clock next. Well, the Jets already tabbed James Farrier in the first round, now have the second round.
many types of athlete's foot that eat your feet alive. Don't just cure some, kill them all. Lotrimin AF. Full prescription strength medicine. The brand doctors recommend most. Lotrimin AF. The killer cure.
This is the sound of small businesses doing more business with Fridays free from Sprint. Call now, and your business can get long distance on Fridays free until the year 2000. Call 1-800-598-5000, only from Sprint Business.
Recently, Terry Labonte gave a little advice to his new teammate, Ricky Craven.
Ricky, there's two things you need to remember when you're out here on the racetrack. First, you need to use this new formula, Quaker State motor oil, so your engine runs clean.
Okay, Terry.
Second, you need to stay right behind me.
New formula Quaker State has over 9 state-of-the-art additives for a clean-running engine.
Terry, if I stay right behind you, I'll never beat you.
Exactly. You're catching on fast.
New formula Quaker State for a clean-running engine.
Tomorrow, Brian Jordan and the Redbirds are looking to soar back to the top of the NL Central. They'll take on reigning MVP Ken Caminiti and the Padres. Cardinals-Padres, the Sunday night baseball game of the week. Tomorrow at 8 on ESPN.
Yes, Mr. Templar. We've replaced the shattered windshield, lacerated tires, and removed bullets from the fender, doors, dashboard, and seats. Your Volvo's as good as new. Mr. Templar, what exactly do you do for a living?
The movie is the Saint. The car is a Volvo.
Yeah. Hey, it's coming along nicely, huh?
Yeah, they've done a lot since yesterday.
Mm-hmm. That must be where the pool's gonna go.
Pool?
A swimming pool.
There's not gonna be a pool in the ballpark.
There is too, dork. Read a newspaper.
Oh, that's cool.
This is gonna be big.
Arizona Diamondbacks at Bank Run Ballpark. It's gonna be big.
I gotta go shopping.
Swimsuit?
Binoculars.
Binoculars? That's a good idea.
Tonight on ESPN2, and our draft coverage continues after 7. Keyshawn Johnson, will talk to him live. Peyton Manning, his decision to stay in school. Keyshawn, and the effect that he's had on the team picking now the New York Jets with 1 year in the league, 1 book out. But the more on that a little bit after 7, and I'm sure that'll be an intriguing discussion. He's good enough to talk with us live at that point on ESPN2. Second round, best available athletes, Mel. Do we dare use that phrase in this day and age of the salary cap? In the second round, you can start to do that.
Well,
right?
I'd say the best available football player, Chris. And we have Corey Dillon. He's there now at 33 for the New Orleans Saints. Jamie Sharp would be a nice addition to the Baltimore Ravens. Marcellus Wiley would be a nice addition to anybody. I think he's going to be a steal as a defensive end. Denson and Neal are outstanding pure guards, and Wunsch, a solid right tackle. When you look at Jason Taylor, 3-4 outside backer. Sapp came on strong as a senior. Will Blackwell heads up my underrated list. Tucker will be a steal because he's coming off that knee injury. He's working his way back to 100%. Mack, a pure safety. McLeod, a run-stuffing inside linebacker. So a lot of quality in round 2 available. And, of course, when you get into extra selections in 2, 3, and 4, that's where teams can really do some serious damage.
Well, in the first round, Bill Parcells took Ferrier. Could he take his teammate Sharper? We'll see. The pick is already up, we understand, to the podium. And we'll get a chance to have the Jet fans swing back into action here at a home game. Let's go to Gene Washington at the podium.
With the 31st selection overall, the New York Jets select Rick Terry, defensive tackle from North Carolina. Atlanta's on the clock.
Well, he stayed in the ACC, Mel. That's what he did.
Well, he did. We talked about Terry for Philadelphia, a 300-pound defensive tackle. Certainly a guy who was very consistent. I didn't see a lot of upside. He's not a great natural athlete. Did a good job, though, at North Carolina, controlling the middle. I'm going to say he's a 305-pounder, very experienced. Certainly benefited last year and the year before from 2 years ago from Marcus Jones. This year he had Greg Ellis, a fine junior, to work into that defensive line and help him out. He doesn't quit. He's a hustler, and he will, in the middle of that line, as a 305-pounder, do a good job controlling things against the run and helping out your middle linebacker.
All right, the cheering is here as if the Jets, well, a moment ago, won the Super Bowl. Down at Hofstra, let's go